What's up, capitalists? I'm Nate Hausman, your guide to the 21st century, and we're going to talk about the economy tonight. It's June 20th, 2022. It's a holiday, so stock market hasn't been open, but we're going to talk about Bitcoin tonight and how it seems to be crashing. But we're going to go over what's really crashing is the illusion that we've been living under for the last, really since 1913. Since 1913, we've only had the illusion of a free market capitalist economy, but the uh, the curtains fall. The curtains falling. We're going through the Great Awakening, and we're going to see whether that prevails over the Great Reset, which the elites have their eyes set on. So, if you find this content valuable, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe on whatever platform you're listening. You're hearing it on, whether it's on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, or on the podcasts, and please share it. I hope I can get the message out to as many people as possible that hey, things look bad right now, but it's only because the powers be are losing their grip and they're desperate. This is actually a great opportunity for regular folks, not just in America but around the world. So let's look at one of the first stories here. This is from CoinDesk. Bitcoin dead. Google searches hit all-time high. And collapsing Bitcoin prices are reviving renewed speculation about the demise of the leading cryptocurrency, according to Google search trends. And what we're seeing in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency hasn't happened in the crypto space before, but I have seen it about 22 years ago, and that was the .com crash. So many startup companies, that were based around websites, it was a bubble in the late 90s, and it just came and it popped in 2000. It was either 1999 or late 90s or 2000, and all the fluff, all the trash projects got eliminated. They were flushed out, and only the projects and businesses with sound fundamentals like Amazon and Google and a few others, those are the ones that survived. And we're going to see that there are a lot of cryptocurrency projects that are like just total garbage. A lot of them are not even real projects, they're pumping up schemes or scams. They're going to get flushed too. The true cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum and Polkadot and Cardano, they're gonna stick it out. Those are the ones you want to, not necessarily put your trust in, but take seriously. Google searches for Bitcoin dead spiked in the week ending Friday, June 18th, and likely reached the highest level on record. Google Trends tracks interest in search terms over time, assigning scores of 1 to 100 based on the total number of user queries. The data are anonymized, that's a weird word, and categorized by topic and aggregated based on location. And this article ends with a paragraph. Mainstream media outlets have written hundreds of Bitcoin obituaries over the years, and the pundits have been cheering the latest market collapse as evidence that Bitcoin is not a viable asset. Bitcoin supposedly died 45 times in 2021 alone, a year in which the digital asset reached multiple record highs. And I've been saying to people, I've been saying on Facebook and on Twitter, on social media, that we're going to reach a point where Bitcoin's dollar price is going to be irrelevant because we're entering a new paradigm. But let's see what's happening as the price as we're going in this bear market and the price crashes. Retail investors, and that's average people, regular Joes, retail investors are buying Bitcoin while the whales are selling. Whales are, are the people in organizations with huge amounts of, money, put into Bitcoin. This is from Bitcoin Magazine, and another Coin Telegraph article is going to back this up. And this article is from a week ago, but there's many different ways to define what entity, what retail and whale. In this analysis, currently we're seeing a strong accelerating trend of retail buying over the last 2 months, while whale supply is slightly declining. The best sign in the blue, line on the graph, the best sign is to see both groups adding their Bitcoin supply, signaling stronger demand. Typically, over the last year, there have been sustained periods of retail adding Bitcoin at local tops while whales were selling. Although a smaller share of circulating supply, we're seeing some of the fastest acceleration in retail supply under zero point 0.1 Bitcoin that we've seen over the last few years. Retail tends to always be accumulating with not many periods of distribution. So what they're doing is dollar cost averaging. They're just, putting a little bit of their dollars into Bitcoin every time they get a paycheck or every time they, earn a little money. They periodically they just keep accumulating, and that's one of the safest, soundest investment strategies you can have. It's like, don't try to time the market; just put time into the market. And this article by Cointelegraph kind of backs this up. This is only from a few hours ago. Bitcoin mints more than 13,000 whole coiners in the past 7 days. So whole coiners are people or wallets or individuals who own a whole Bitcoin. Bitcoin is divided by like eight decimal points. So you don't have to, when you buy Bitcoin, you don't have to like buy a whole one. You can buy part of one. You just go to exchange, maybe say how many dollars you want, dollars or whatever fiat currency in your country, however much you want to spend, and the market will sell you that Bitcoin at whatever dollar value you assign. The article starts, bye bye bear market blues. Welcome to the network, Bitcoin believers. Over the past week, the number of Bitcoin wallet addresses containing 1 Bitcoin or more increased by 13,901. The total number of whole coiners surged to 800,655, 865,254. Excuse me. The number of whole coiners has rocketed during the downward price action, highlighted by the hockey sticks growth on the Glassnode graph. And not quite a hockey stick, but it is growing. Christian Ander, the founder of the Swedish Bitcoin exchange BT.cx, told Cointelegraph that this is good for the ecosystem and it's growing from the ground up because we want the economy to be bottom up. Ander continued, over the past 10 days, since May 10th, market slump over to 30,000, over 14,000 whole coiners have joined the network. As there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin owned or mined, each of these wallet addresses will own 1/21 millionth of all Bitcoin. And it goes on to say that a lot of the whales are selling, and that's kind of a sign. It's been said that really what determines an asset price, macro level, is the banks and institutions. You have trading and investment strategies like the Wyckoff distribution pattern that tracks what the banks and hedge funds do, and you just have to like make your trades based on that pattern. There's the theory that it's really just that the banks and institutions right now are the ones selling their Bitcoin and causing the price to crash. And we're gonna get to why they're doing that a little bit later. But we do see some crypto bulls and proponents saying, hey, buy the dip. Elon Musk says he's buying the crypto dip. Now, he's not buying Bitcoin per se. He's being into Doge for some reason. But when he announced that, according to this article by The Street, Bitcoin, the most popular cryptocurrency, has regained some life. The price was at $19,510 at last check, up 4.7% in the last 24 hours. Bitcoin had fallen to $17,677 before recovering somewhat. So that's given it a little bit of a bounce. And Nayib Bukele, who is the president of El Salvador, has told investors to enjoy life. This is from GreekReporter.com. The value of Bitcoin has plummeted, but El Salvador President Bukele said his country's worried investors should still enjoy life. Patience, he instructed, is the key. And that's, again, dollar cost averaging. Time in the market beats timing the market. The words of reassurance came in a tweet last Saturday, shortly after the cryptocurrency had sunk to for a time to below $18,000. It dipped to oh my gosh, 16,800. Oh, 16,800 euros. Less than a year ago, El Salvador spent $105 million on Bitcoin, according to Australia's Channel 9 News. The government paid an average of nearly $46,000 a coin, or 44,000 euros. So, and President Bukele, he's been a huge, advocate for Bitcoin, and we're going to talk about El Salvador and Latin America a little bit later. And they really do see this as an opportunity to break away from the system, to break away from the system of debt and fiat money and really funny money that the whole world has been trapped in for over 100 years. The Federal Reserve was founded in 1913 and basically trapped America in a never-ending cycle of debt, which I detailed in my video titled "There's More Debt Than Money." Then, after World War II, we entered into the Bretton Woods Agreement, and the U.S. dollar became the world's reserve currency. So, pretty much international settlements and international payments are all done in dollars, especially in oil. That's what happened in the 70s, just after Richard Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. It used to be cash in your pocket meant that you owned some of the gold in Fort Knox. That came to an end in 1971. And now we're reaching the fourth phase, which we're going to get to after the break. But in one video, I did incorrectly call it the fourth turning. That actually refers to the whole cycle of strong men make good times make weak men make hard times make strong men. So we're in that turning. That's what that refers to. But we are seeing like different phases in the system here, in the cycle here. So one sign that the whole system is collapsing is this: breaking. A run on the banks in China. Long lines in Henan, Shanghai, and Dangong. This is from Gateway Pundit. And it could be that the world, fiat system's collapse might start in China because they're actually very deep in debt. They've built so many like infrastructure projects, and they've locked down their economy way much worse than we have in the West. After years of COVID mandates and a government that the average Chinese deep down doesn't trust, the people of China are scared they will not be able to retrieve their life savings. In some cities, people are standing in line for hours to receive their money from their bank. So, if you follow some YouTubers like Jay Bravo or Stephen Van Meter, they're always doom and gloom, and it's kind of fun to watch them. They have some good information, but what's really doom and gloom is the old system. So we are seeing, ordinary people, they're accumulating Bitcoin while the whales and the institutions are trying to crash the price. They want to move us into a different system, but Bitcoin is our exit strategy. So if you want to get in on that, I have some resources for you. Click on the link to Uphold. Uphold is my crypto exchange of choice. It's really simple. You hook it up to your bank account. And you can buy as much or as little Bitcoin as you want in dollars. And Uphold even has a debit card that you can sign up for. So you can like transfer Bitcoin to dollars or other cryptocurrencies or other assets into dollars anytime you want and spend that instead of, going to your bank. You can buy cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano. You can buy equities in different stocks like Tesla, Amazon, Google, AT&T, and you can also buy metals like gold, silver, platinum, and they even have limit orders, which means if there's a certain price you want to buy or sell at, you can set that ahead of time and just wait for it to be activated. This is Uphold is a very beginner friendly, exchange. And if you click on the link, I'll get a referral bonus and you'll be supporting the channel, supporting the program as well. Another resource I have for you is my own website, my own service at natehousman.net. Click on the link and click on the Work With Me tab in the menu. And I've got some white label web design services here. So it's very important that you have a side hustle or you even have your own independent business. And for that, you need a website. You know, a good proper website can cost a few hundred to even $1,000. But with one of my plans, you can pay for it monthly. And my service provider, they also do marketing. So you can get a website built with WordPress, pay for it monthly. And once that's set up, go to WordPress.org and look at all the different ways you can accept payments with Bitcoin. WooCommerce is the main e-commerce tool for WordPress websites. There are plenty of add-ons for WooCommerce that'll let you accept payments in Bitcoin. So that's another way to accumulate while things are cheap. So why are the whales and the institutions so keen on dropping the price of Bitcoin? Because they want us to use their system, which is called the central bank digital currency. This is from Liberty Daily, a very grassroots conservative website. Let's read the article. As the site and other fringe news outlets have been saying for a while, this nation and the world are heading toward central bank digital currencies. The sales pitch for a digital US dollar was launched today, and today being a few days ago, June 18th, was launched by Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, and it came with a very ominous warning. The dollar is currently the world reserve currency, meaning the economic successes of most nations are tied to it. But that status has been in a rapid state of decline over the last year, coinciding suspiciously with the installation of Joe Biden into the Oval Office and the rise in rhetoric around the Great Reset. Both are tied together, hand in hand. Build Back Better was first coined by the World Economic Forum, not the Biden campaign. And a tweet, a video of Jerome Powell announcing his pitch. The US dollar has never needed help in maintaining its status. The only reason it needs help today is because Democrats and their globalist elite puppet masters like Barack Obama and Klaus Schwab are forcing anti-freedom policies all over our economy. Kellen McBreen at InfoWars reported, speaking at the Federal Reserve Board's International Roles of the U.S. Dollar research conference in Washington, D.C., Powell began by describing the dollar's role as the world's reserve currency in the post-World War II era. After explaining the benefits of the dollar's international role, Powell changed his tone and warned, looking forward, rapid changes are taking place in the global monetary system that may affect the international role of the dollar in the future. He continued saying, most major economies already have or are in the process of developing instant 24/7 payments. Our own FedNow service will be coming online in 2023. And in the light of the tremendous growth in crypto assets and stablecoins, the Federal Reserve is examining whether a U.S. central bank digital currency would improve on an already safe and efficient domestic payment system. Citing a Federal Reserve white paper on the subject, Powell claimed a U.S. CBDC, central bank digital currency, could also potentially help maintain the dollar's international standing. Powell made the comparison to Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Central bank digital currencies are not like cryptocurrencies. The technology is similar, but the key difference is in control. One of the whole reasons for cryptocurrencies is decentralization. No single person controls Bitcoin. The software that runs Bitcoin exists on computers all around the world. A central bank digital currency, by their very nature, it's centralized and under the control of those who will use them against us. It would probably be, run on a single server, group of servers controlled by the central bank. And you know what that means? We already got a taste of it. We already got a little glimpse of it in Canada. The truckers, they held their protest against vaccine mandates, and the banks in Canada, they froze a whole lot of people's bank accounts. Even people who were only maybe not even connected to the truckers' protest, if they just donated like maybe as little as $5 to the protest cause, they were shut down. No trial, no due process. They were frozen. Imagine what can happen if your money is digital and controlled by a central authority. If they don't, if the government doesn't like your politics, if someone in the cabal doesn't like what you're saying, they can condemn you to poverty. Just think what happens on social media when people get, you know, their accounts, frozen or shadow banned. Stay frosty, folks. Is how the article ends. This is just the opening volley. Prepare to fight this with everything you can muster. Tell your friends and family. A U.S. central bank digital currency will destroy this nation's sovereignty and usher it into the globalist dream of neo-Marxism. And that's why the Bitcoin price is crashing. They want people to think Bitcoin is dead. But instead, a lot of people see through that and they're buying it cheap. And not financial advice, that's what I'm doing. And that's what a lot of people are doing. El Salvador, this next article, coming back to Bitcoin Magazine, El Salvador's Bitcoin Bretton Woods Conference. So a few weeks ago, El Salvador hosted a bunch of other countries, not necessarily wealthy countries or G20 countries. They hosted, representatives from governments in like 44 countries. Not 44 countries, well, maybe. And they hosted a Bitcoin conference. So let's start with the article here. In July 1944, in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, over 730 delegates from 44 countries gathered at the Mount Washington Hotel in what became known as the Bretton Woods Conference. The main agenda was to create a new international monetary order that would be implemented at the end of World War II, especially since the classic gold standard had been abandoned after World War I. This new international system would finance post-war reconstruction and improve upon the flaws of the gold standard by drawing on the lessons learned from the Great Depression. According to Federal Reserve history, quote, it was an unprecedented cooperative effort for nations that have been setting up barriers between their economies for more than a decade. They sought to create a system that would not only avoid the rigidity of previous international monetary systems, but would also address the lack of cooperation among countries on those systems. In the interwar period, governments not only undertook competitive devaluations, but also set up restrictive trade policies that worsened the Great Depression, unquote. In summary, this conference sought to incentivize economic cooperation among nations through a new monetary system that would also discourage adversarial economic policies of the Great Depression era. During that time, a financial system was created where all other global currencies were to be backed by US dollars, with the dollar itself being backed by gold. The price of gold was fixed at $35 an ounce, and central banks were also able to redeem dollars for gold. This became known as the Bretton Woods system. This system held until August 15th, 1971, when President Richard Nixon ended the dollar convertibility to gold because the U.S. could no longer honor its commitment to do so. In reality, this was a sovereign default by the U.S. government. Fast forward a couple decades later, central bankers and financial regulators from 44 emerging market countries gathered in El Salvador for the Alliance for Financial Inclusion Summit. Contrary to popular opinion on social media, this was not a Bitcoin event, but it generally focused on financial inclusion, in line with the AFI's vision of making financial services more accessible to the world's unbanked. It's interesting to note, however, that financial exclusion is a natural consequence of the current monetary system, due in part to the inherent cost structures that financial institutions have to bear to profitably bank customers, as well as the costs imposed by a credit-based payment system which doesn't have instant final settlement of payments. There are disadvantages that the Bitcoin network does not have, even from a financial inclusion perspective. For example, as of 2017, only 29% of Salvadorians had a bank account, but the Chivo Bitcoin wallet now boasts of 2.6 million users, approximately 40% of the population, since Bitcoin became legal tender last year. Bitcoin is definitely the most financially inclusive network in the world. And the article goes on, but a list of actually So the article ends, as the cracks begin to appear in the current monetary system, it's only a matter of time before we begin to see a more nation-state adoption. History will look upon this year's edition of the AFI Summit as a shot heard around the world for ushering in a Bitcoin-based monetary system. And we'll talk about Russia a little bit and what they think. They kind of agree with that. But another article from Bitcoin Magazine basically saying how Bitcoin is an opportunity for the average person or even the less fortunate. Brazilian congressman sees Bitcoin as transformative for the country. Brazilian Congressman Fabio Osterman sees Bitcoin as a means to make tools of the state obsolete and allow for technology to set people free. In an episode of Bitcoineros podcast with guest Fabio Osterman, the Brazilian congressman commented, among several subjects, on Bitcoin and the adoption of decentralized technologies. The story was shared by local media outlet Bulletin Bitcoin. The Brazilian member of parliament said that technologies that promote decentralization have the potential to free Brazil, as they can make many institutions obsolete, such as the central bank and other institutions linked to monetary policy. He said, quote, I personally believe very much in the future of freedom in Brazil, and consequently in the future prosperity of Brazil. I think that our children will live in a level of freedom that we have never imagined, most probably because of what our generation is building. I'm very confident in the future of freedom of Brazil, and consequently, because I see that in the worst case scenario, technology will set us free. Brazil is currently ranked 133 out of 177 countries in the Heritage Foundation's Index of Economic Freedom. The Latin American country hasn't had significant indication of freedom in any observable aspect. Bitcoin, as highlighted by the MP and a number of individuals throughout the episode, has potential to open a great space for the growth of freedom in the world. It removes the monopoly on currency issuance and on the financial system from centralized agents. In recent decades, Brazil has experienced a series of episodes that undermined the population's trust in state institutions. From 1940 through 1994, the country experienced severe inflation and occasional moments of hyperinflation. Many point out this may be a major reason for Bitcoin's popularity in the country, since the population is used to not trusting money issued by the government. Brazil currently has more people investing in Bitcoin and other digital assets than in the US stock market. The lack of trust in one's own government due to various historical incidents has become an inseparable part of the culture in Latin American countries. As most South American countries have experienced hyperinflation, dictatorships, and confiscation of their savings, it's natural that there is a resistance to trusting centralized institutions. Because it is a decentralized monetary network with no need to trust intermediaries, Bitcoin has become a government-issued money, as well as a way to gain sovereignty through a hard currency running on a censorship-resistant monetary network. Censorship, which is what the central bank digital currencies are going to be all about. Just, God forbid. The article goes on. But ends here. The congressman also highlighted the emergence of a number of technologies that have the potential to reduce the role of the state through decentralization. The trend is that we will follow the path of increasing decentralization. It is what some people vulgarly call Uberization. But there's a phenomenon based on that behind that, which is the phenomena of decentralization, the decentralization of choices. Most likely, Osterman was referring to decentralized applications, which seek to run services from conventional applications and systems through complex smart contracts. The parliamentarian's remarks closely resemble predictions made by the economist Milton Friedman, who stated on several occasions that eventually the creation of internet-native money will be responsible for diminishing the role of governments around the world. And this quote by Milton Friedman, the one thing that is missing, but will soon be developed, is reliable e-cash, or electronic money, a method whereby on the internet you can transfer funds from A to B without A knowing B or B knowing A. The way in which I can take a $20 bill and hand it to you, and there's no record of where it came from. And you may get that without knowing who I am. That kind of thing will develop on the internet. He said that in a 1999 interview. So, We're going to wrap up with some news from Russia. Russian central bank says Bitcoin crypto payments for international settlement is possible. So the Bretton Woods plan was international settlements would be made with US dollars. If the US dollar is collapsing due to inflation, the central bankers, the officials in Russia think, oh, we can do it in Bitcoin. And it's very important to see what Russia's been doing since, their attack in Ukraine. Love it or hate it, Ukraine has a lot of problems of its own. With all due sympathy to the Ukrainian people, their government's been just horribly corrupt, and their government's been like a hub for a lot of money laundering and other shady dealings with politicians from other countries. So I don't think Vladimir Putin's a fully good guy, but at least he's not part of the whole central bank cabal. Russia recently decided to peg the ruble to gold. So the ruble is not a fiat currency anymore. It's back to gold. So this article talks about Bitcoin. Elvira Nabiullina, head of the Central Bank of the Russian Federation, recently attended the St. Petersburg Economic Forum, where she commented on Russia's use of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies for international trade, per a report from state media outlet Kommersant. Our position is that cryptocurrency should not be used as a means of calculation within the country. As for use in international settlements, if it does not penetrate the Russian financial system, it is possible, she told reporters during the event. Earlier in the event, before the remarks made by Nabiullina, first deputy chairman of the central bank, Ksenia Yudaeva, also stated that Russia did not object to the use of payments like Bitcoin in international transactions and international financial infrastructure. So apparently, they like Bitcoin for international payments, and they probably want the ruble or gold or silver to be used internally. In fact, years ago in the U.S. Constitution, it said that payments between states should be made in gold and silver, and that usually what happened before the Federal Reserve, a lot of banks issued their own money, and that happened with. And correct me if I'm wrong. You can comment below. Your views, your information on that. But banks, issued paper money based on gold in their vaults, and that money was valid within the state. So that's kind of the main idea of that article. But what we're seeing here is a lot of players, some who you wouldn't expect, are taking on the old system and really bringing economic freedom to their countries and hopefully to our country. So think about Elon Musk and his affinity for Dogecoin. I don't think he can totally promote Bitcoin directly. Donald Trump has not promoted Bitcoin directly, although Melania has. I kind of suspect that Elon Musk and Trump, they're part of that team of patriots who are trying to like wake people up to the corruption in our country and hopefully take it down bit by bit and restore freedom, a free economic system to the United States. So they really have to be careful on what they say about Bitcoin. They can't really promote it directly because that would kind of like tip their hand to the central banks. But Bitcoin is an escape pod. It is a way for us to get out of the control. So I will leave you with that. Again, if you find this content valuable, please share it, please subscribe, and give it a like. And if you want, take advantage of Uphold through the affiliate link, and take advantage of my web design services, and take advantage of Bitcoin payments on your website. And I'll let you go. I'm Nate Hausman, and the only reason it looks bad now is because the elites are getting desperate. It's okay to stand up for yourself. Have a good one.